Welcome to the February 10th, 2017 edition of Colorado Inside Out Postgame, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. Let's get a quick take on legislation aimed at millennials gaining initial approval this week. If passed, House Bill 1123 would allow cities and counties to determine their own bar closing times outside of the current 2 a.m. standard. Senate Bill 27, addressing texting and driving, would raise fines from $50 to $300 for first-time offenders who are caught driving in a, quote, careless and imprudent manner. Patty Calhoun from Westward. This first bill seems to be more aimed at bros. I mean, I think about 2 a.m. down in lower downtown. It is, it sounds like a crazy time. I have not been there for many, many years, but we've talked about this issue many, many times. Is it going to change this time?
Well, interestingly, it has changed, and they seem to be missing this. And it is not just for millennials. I'd like to say I would benefit from this. But Colorado already had passed the Colorado consumption law, public consumption law, so that there are certain places where you can drink later than 2 a.m. Up in Blackhawk and Central City, you can drink 24 hours a day. In Glendale, you can drink till like 4 in the morning. So municipalities can, if they follow those rules, they can change some of those laws. Because of that, I don't see this going through. There already are options for cities that want it, and I don't think a lot of cities are going to want it. As for texting and driving, that one definitely affects everyone. I think we can all get behind the idea that no matter how old you are, you should not be texting and driving.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. The bar bill seems that it would be more freedom for businesses, and I'm wondering if that is a good freedom for businesses to have.
Of course, and it's also more freedom for localities, and I don't see why it's a statewide matter at all to say when local bars can close. I suppose you could say in some situations where they're all close together, maybe there's some value in commonality, but that's not true in lots of other places. And I just want to strongly endorse Patty's pushback against the ageist presumption of that question. There's lots of us who are well beyond millennial age who have been in bars at closing time and sadly had to leave.
My formal apology for eliminating for not taking into account the various generations. I think it was just my own personal bias there because it's been a long time since I closed down a bar.
When I'm 85, I hope Patty and I will be drinking in a bar in Lodo at 4 a.m.
I completely agree with that statement. I endorse that wholeheartedly. I hope they're the very same.
Highlands Ranch.
Yeah, well, yeah, nothing's
That's
open.
your problem.
2 a.m. Exactly. There you go. Eric Sondren, political analyst. These seem kind of like slam dunk common sense bills, but we've seen them before. We've seen them fail before. Should we expect something different this year?
Well, I really appreciate you having me on the panel today, Dominic, as a voice of the millennials in Colorado. It's a great honor. No, your question answers itself. I wasn't aware of what Patty pointed out in terms of that there are already opportunities to get out of the statewide regulation on bar closing times. I would have no problem with this bill at all. I don't know why this is a statewide matter. I think local control, if local control has any meaning as a concept, it ought to apply in cases like this. But it's probably going nowhere. Joey would know better than that, who will come up in a sec. On the texting bill, knock yourself out. Make it $300, make it $500. The whole issue of driverless cars, which are coming up. At first, when I read about all that, I was skeptical because I actually enjoy, not all the time, but most of the time, I enjoy the physical act of driving. But as I look around me these days with everyone else texting, I say bring on those driverless cars as quickly as possible because then people can text to their heart's delight.
I completely agree. And rounding out the panel, as offered a little preview from Eric, Joey Bunch, senior correspondent with ColoradoPolitics.com. You're our guy in the Capitol. What's been the reaction so far? We've talked around here, these seem like common sense bills, but what's the prognosis from your behalf?
Well, the bar bill passed committee day before yesterday, 11-2. And yes, cities, and a lot of cities do, more than a dozen cities have set up these entertainment districts where they can have later bar hours. The problem is that the bars and restaurants outside those districts are at a competitive disadvantage, and that's what's got legislators' attention. And, in places like I live on the west side of Denver, and you've got Edgewater, Mountain View, Sheridan, Lakewood, all within a 10-minute drive of each other. And if a bar can stay open at 4 o'clock in one of those districts and only in 2 in the other one, then people are going to go over there. And suddenly the district with the later bar hours or the earlier bar hours, they've got drunks coming through their community. On the other hand, police have a hard time catching all the drunk drivers that are on the roads at 2 o'clock. Getting a lift, as Patty and Dave can tell you, getting a Lyft or an Uber at 2 a.m. can be pretty tough. So, you know, I heard somebody describe it like dumping a bucket full of mice out on the ground and you've only got 3 cats. You can only catch so many mice. So that's the problems with that bill. Now, the texting bill, I think that bill's pretty worthless because nobody is thinking about the fine when they're texting and driving. They're not thinking, oh, you know, this would cost me $50, but now it's going to be $300. They're not thinking about that $250 difference. They're thinking about the cat video that Patty just sent them, and they want to see it while they're driving down the highway. Not speaking from personal experience, but that was a funny cat video.
Joe, this is probably one of the best takes we've had on a comment for a long time. Just that example with a bucket of mice and the cats, that was fantastic.
Do what I can.
That is all the time we have for Colorado Inside Postgame this week. Leave us a comment, tell us what you think, or send us a link to a great cat video. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thanks for watching.